Probably.
Hi, and welcome to the Swan Effect Mums Coffee and Chat podcast. This week, we're chatting to Eddie, who is a stay-at-home dad. Hi, Eddie, you okay?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Well, what happened with Eddie is that I followed Eddie on Twitter before he knew about me. I was just telling him that I was on the lookout for dads because I found there was so many mum accounts, but I wanted to see if there was much of a dad community out there, and there really is. And I approached you and said, would you be interested in doing this? And you were really willing to say, yes, that's great. We finally got here. Better childcare,
Absolutely.
bedtime issues, but we're here now at what time? 8:45 at night.
Yeah, I think every parent can agree with that one, though, can't they?
Every podcast I try and organise, it's been delayed or we cancelled till the next night, or they're saying, oh, my child's screaming, I can't do it, and it's fine. It's just one of those things. So what we're going to do is we'll go straight into it. Obviously, I want to get through this and make sure we don't have too late of a night.
No
So
problem.
first question that I always ask everybody, just to get a bit of an idea of who you are. So where do you live and who do you live with?
I live in Scarborough, North Yorkshire. I live with my partner and four of our girls, 2 daughters, 2 stepdaughters.
Oh, lovely. I love Scarborough. I'm just going to put in straight away. One of my favourite holidays as a kid was Scarborough and going on the fair at the front.
Yeah, it's still there.
Is it?
Yeah, it's still there.
I always said to Phil, I want to do UK holidays, and Scarborough's always been there because it was one of my favourite holidays.
Should definitely do it. They've put a big wheel in on the seafront as well now.
Oh, what? They grand now?
Yeah.
I bet it's quiet there, is it? Well, space. A lot of people might go there this summer because a lot of people aren't going abroad, are they?
To be fair, we were quite surprised at the weekend. We went out for a drive in the car with the kids, and we were surprised at how busy the beach was. The weekend just gone, but yeah.
Oh well, it's what happens when the sun comes out, isn't it? We're like, oh,
it is, yeah, but especially when it's Easter weekend as well.
Yeah. So you talk about your girls. How old are they all? And tell me a little bit about them and all the personalities as well. It's a lot to talk about, I'm sure, and a lot of different personalities.
Well, I have 5 girls altogether. 3 daughters, 2 stepdaughters. My eldest has just turned 10. Right. And she lives in Bridlington with her mum, and we co-parent, so she's with us on. We've just started doing alternate weekends, so that mum gets to spend a weekend with her as well.
Yeah.
So that can be quite difficult at times, but.
How far away is that from? I'm not very good at geography. How far away is that from you?
It's about 20 minutes each way in the car.
Right. Okay.
So it's not too far.
No.
And then we live with my 2 stepdaughters, who are 9 and 8. They're a cheeky pair. especially the 8-year-old. She's really cheeky. She's funny. I mean, I've been in her life since I think she was 14 months and her sister was 2.
Wow, really young one.
Yeah, I mean, the 8-year-old, she's really taken after me. She's dry-witted, sarcastic, and sometimes it causes us to clash, but sometimes we just bounce off each other and it's absolutely hilarious. And then we have another one that's 5. She's just full-blown artistic drama queen diva. And then 2-year-old. Now, I have nicknames for them all, obviously, because on my blog and my social media, obviously, just for a bit of security for them. I give them all nicknames.
I should do that, yeah.
And it's all nicknames I've had since they were babies and little. It's like my youngest daughter, she's always growled and always just come out like an animal when she's lost her temper. So she's called Beast. My other daughter, my 5-year-old, she was really chunky when she was a baby, so we called her Pig. Anything you put in front of her and she just ate it. My 8-year-old stepdaughter, she used to be really, really tiny. It's only these past year or 2 that she's shot up. So she was always called Titch. Obviously, my 9-year-old, she's called Maisie. But obviously, we've always called her Maisie Mouse. So her nickname's Mouse.
Oh.
And then when my eldest was teething, I used to give her, she wouldn't have anything like carrot sticks or cucumber sticks or anything just to help soothe it when she was teething. But she loved pork ribs and pork chops. So she picked up the nickname Pork Chop. bit of a weird one for a nickname. But
It is a bit. I bet Titch is the one that thinks she's got away with it, really, with Titch. That's not too bad, is it? The one that's Pig is a bit like, hang on.
Even though it don't make sense anymore because she's not a Titch anymore. She's nearly as big as her older sister.
No, I'll talk about blogging in a bit, but that you saying that now, I'm starting to get more momentum with my blog. I realise I probably have shared way too much about my children on there, and I think the older they get, the more I'm thinking of nicknames, but they don't really have nicknames. I just call them the names, so I'm going to have to think of something. But yeah, I don't think my eldest would appreciate Pig. I have to think of something.
Well, it was more for my stepdaughter's benefit as well. Obviously, we have quite a good relationship with their dad, and obviously when I started my blog and things like that, I explained to him that there was going to be pictures online, and if he was all right with that, I could always blur them out. But he was fine with it, and I even said to him that obviously I was going to use nicknames rather than real names, and he was really comfortable with it and thought it was a brilliant idea. So
I think it's one of those, isn't it? It's personal preference. I think a lot of people do and a lot of people don't, and I think it's one of those, just make sure you don't take pictures of your house, your address, or anything like that, really, isn't it? That's what I've learned from it anyway. So I forgot to mention in the beginning, the reason I'm interviewing you this week is because you are a stay-at-home dad.
Yeah.
So tell me how that came about, and was it a personal decision, financial decision, or just something that happened?
It came about under quite negative circumstances, really, but it was a joint decision between me and my partner. Obviously, it was 2019. Our youngest daughter was born in November 2018, and I was working full time. We had 2 horses. We obviously had. Then it was 5 children, so it was a lot. It was a lot to take on and a lot to carry on your shoulder, sort of thing. And I started struggling really with anxiety and depression, and I sort of brushed it under the carpet and just carried on as normal. But it started affecting my work. And my manager at the time, he's like my best friend. He noticed that things weren't right, and they recommended that I take some time off, go to see a doctor and things like that. And that's what when it came about. I was depressed and struggling with anxiety. They helped me and things like that. They were really supportive. But then obviously, I think it was just over 2 weeks, I was off work. The day I went back, I was made redundant. So obviously I'd lost my job, and then it sort of got conversations going between me and my partner then, because she was working as a carer at a private sector. So she was on really good money, but she's always wanted to be a midwife ever since she had her first daughter. So she decided to apply and went to do an access course to nursing. So with that and around her part-time work, obviously we
and 5 children.
Childcare. And 5 children, We didn't know what to do for the childcare, so we decided that I'd stay at home. And obviously at that time, the youngest was 6 months. And from there, it just went from there. I mean, I'm still a full-time stay-at-home dad now. I've done all the nursery runs, the school runs, and she's almost a year down in a nursing degree. She's got another 2 years of a nursing degree, and then she's going on to do, I think it's 2 years of midwifery.
Yeah, so it's a long one. My sister did the access
it's a long,
But like I said, it's going to be worth it in the long run, isn't it? And if it's something where, if you were poorly anyway, it's giving you this time, isn't it, to think about what you want to do next as well, hasn't it? Really.
It is, yeah. I mean, the blog I just started just as a little bit of a diary for myself more than anything.
That's what I did. Yeah.
Just obviously time I've spent with the kids and little adventures that we might have had. Obviously now I've got the time, but it's built into so much more. Which is it's offered us some fantastic opportunities, which is good.
Yeah, exactly. It keeps you busy. I mean,
it does.
I'm on maternity leave, and what started as a really small thing, and it should have just stayed as a small thing, but because I'm quite competitive and I like to achieve things. I was like, I wonder if I started doing that, what that would do. I wonder if I started doing that. I wonder if I started doing podcasts. I wonder if I started. I'm like, now I'm so busy. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do when I get back to work. I've got a clue. I've got to fit all in. So
yeah, I know what you mean about that one.
It really just escalates. It snowballs, doesn't it? The more connections you make, the more it just gets bigger and bigger. So
like a full-time job in itself.
It is. It really is. It really is. So you've managed to stay at home with the girls these last 12 months. So how has the lockdown affected you all as a family, with your daughter that you co-parent as well? And what have been the pros and cons for you as a stay-at-home dad?
The last year with my eldest daughter, that obviously I co-parent with a mum, that's been really difficult, especially through the first lockdown, because she didn't come to our house. So I think it was 5 months I went without seeing her. I mean, we spoke every day on the phone and things like that. That was really hard to deal with. But then just little hits and here and there, like with her school, the way her school are managing, obviously the year groups in the classrooms. There was a few times where she'd been sent home to isolate, and so it's like come to a weekend and I won't be able to have her because she's having to isolate.
Yeah.
Which odd little curveballs in the mix like that. But the homeschooling was tricky, especially with this since September last year with the lockdowns that we've been in. Because my 5-year-old started school last year. So obviously she was doing a reception schoolwork, and then we had the other two doing obviously different year group work.
Yeah.
We're just trying to find that sort of balance that worked for us.
And then you've got the 2-year-old as well, who's not doing any school. So
little whirlwind running around as well. And then my partner, she's been home doing a uni assignments and things at home. So sometimes she'd be upstairs on a Zoom with in a online tutorial, and then I'd be downstairs with homeschooling the kids and juggling the toddler. And but between us, I mean, between the Zooms that my partner had and assignments, I mean, a lot of her assignments ended up getting done late at night. Obviously, when the kids had gone to bed, that's when she'd get them out and she could concentrate on them then. But through the day, she'd be really supportive, and she'd help with the girls if there was things that they were struggling with. That obviously, I mean, everybody communicates differently with the kids. It's like some things might have been tricky to get across to them to try and teach them, whereas for me it was tricky, but for my partner she found it easier to explain to them.
Yeah.
If you get what I mean.
Yeah, so no, absolutely, yeah.
We were balancing that really well between us. It was like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
But,
I think once you found your groove, you kind of get into it, don't you?
You find a whole new respect for teachers.
Yeah.
I mean, they do it with a classroom of 20, 30 kids. And
can you imagine? You don't respect them anyway. So it's just crazy. I said that the teenagers especially, they're not really taking part in the classes. And I spoke to one parent of teenagers the other day on this podcast that's not out yet, and she said her daughter was doing a class, but then on her phone she was FaceTiming a friend. In a way, I'm really glad I've got a 2-year-old and a newborn during lockdown, because I don't know how I would have managed working and a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old as well, like you say, running around causing mayhem, honestly. So what do you like most about being a stay-at-home dad, and what has been the most challenging aspect of being a stay-at-home dad? So obviously you weren't always a stay-at-home dad from the get-go, from baby one, so obviously it's something that you've kind of took on.
I mean, before the whole coronavirus thing came around, it was great to get involved with the kids at school with things that I'd normally miss out of because of work commitments. Sort of like the stay and learn sessions, and obviously the first day, and just different activities that they did with school. That's been really good. And obviously spending time at home with the kids. Obviously I've learned a whole new level, especially even with homeschooling. I've learned more about my kids. And I think we've sort of bonded more. But obviously, on the other side of it, the difficult side of it, I mean, before the whole coronavirus thing came around, I tried the parent-toddler groups and things like that. It's so uncomfortable. Being sort of a regular dad that turns up in a room full of mums. I mean, they're friendly, and they talk to you, they get involved with you, but the way the conversations go, it sort of starts nitpicking to, oh, where's mum, or why are you here again, and that sort of thing. So it's still a bit frowned upon, like seeing dads at these sort of places.
Eddie, I've just saying before, I would have made a beeline for you. Honestly, with my firstborn, I thought I better do these mum groups, I better do the swimming. I think I'd won a swimming class thing and I ended up staying, and there was dads in the swimming ones, and Phil took her a few times, but the mum groups, they just weren't for me. They just weren't for me. At one, I was a bit more older than the other mums. Like you said, they were all, I sound like such a cliche because I've got a mum blog and a mum account. But the reason I did mine was to be an honest mum and go, do you know what? Actually, this is really hard sometimes. And they'd be like, oh no, they're precious. And I'd go, oh, yeah, yeah. And so, oh, you're sitting up yet? I'm like, no, not yet. And it never bothered me. And I wasn't really into it. So if I'd have seen a dad, I would have been like, I want to talk to that person because they'll have a different outlook on this whole thing. And that's, so I was just wondering what it would be like for you, like if you did try and do all those things. And do you know what? I'll actually skip. Hopefully I don't get all confused. But one of the questions, where is it now? That was it. How do other mums and dads react when you tell them that you're a stay-at-home dad? So obviously you just said then that instantly you felt like already your partner was getting judged because she wasn't there and you were, which to me I think is completely wrong, because you are a parent. You have just as much right to be there as anybody. The only reason as mums go is because we get the best bargain when it comes to maternity leave. My partner wanted half and half and we couldn't afford to because I had a better deal with my work. But yeah, he would absolutely be a stay-at-home dad. He would absolutely do all the after-school clubs if he could. It's just, it can't happen. His job won't allow him to do that. So what do other mums and dads say, or like you say, react, or how do they treat you?
I mean, you get some reactions in the playground from mums. It's very cliquey.
Yeah, I've heard.
Like, so some are all right, some are friendly and chatty, and it's like it don't bother them. But some are similar to how you get at baby groups, and sort of like why do you do the school runs, and obviously try to find out what's going on and why.
Yeah.
I mean, I've connected with a lot of dads through the blogging that I've been doing, and a lot of them have even admitted that they'd love to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
They'd love to be at home more with the kids, and there is dads out there that want to do it. But it's obviously just a stigma around. Obviously, it's like the big role reversal. I mean, like, I was brought up in a family where it was old school. My dad was the grafter and the main breadwinner, and my mum was at home.
Mine was like that.
Meals and washing and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was quite judgmental of my dad when he found out when I told him what I was doing.
Really?
Obviously, I mean, I was working full time, and I wasn't on a bad wage. I mean, I was a warehouse manager. And my partner was working part-time and she still earned more than me a month. So that's obviously part of the decision where it came from. Obviously she was a higher earner, and I was to stay at home. And
so you were brought up in that sort of upbringing. Did it bother you that she was earning more than you?
It did at the start.
Did it? That's fine, you're being honest.
I mean, it always had done, obviously because she was bringing in more money, but obviously, especially when we made the decision that I'd stay at home, obviously I'd been working since I left school. And just not earning your own wage, and obviously it's sort of depending on somebody else for the financials of it. It was a bit hard to get your head around. But
how does she feel about it though? Like, how does she? Because we all say, I'd love Phil to do more. But if someone said, okay, well, you go back to work full time and Phil will do the rest of it now, I don't know how I'd feel about it, because like you said, it's the stigma, isn't it? It's what's expected of me, and I just do it, and I don't know how I'd feel about it, actually.
I mean, this is the thing that it was just down to communication. Obviously, we spoke about everything, financial, not just that, but obviously I was going through depression and anxiety at the time. Obviously, I would have coped with that being at home on my own with the kids, and if she went off to do this, it was something that we went through together and obviously spoke about together. But yeah, it's worked out really well.
So what was the reaction from other mums then, like you said? So have you made friends locally that you take with the kids to meet up with, or are you quite independent and you do your own thing?
It's more I've connected with mums at the playground, obviously, that my children are friends with.
Yeah.
But so obviously at like weekends, obviously it was all before the coronavirus, but it'd more likely be the mums were like a middleman. And it's like, then I've been put in touch with the dad. And it's been more something for me to do with the dads on a weekend with the kids.
Yeah. Oh, you'll have to meet my husband. Yeah, he does the football side of things. Do you want to meet him at the weekend?
Yeah, it's that sort of thing. But yeah, just chatting with other dads in the playground about whiskey.
Yeah, why not? So give us an insight to your normal day with the girls. Do you have a strict routine, or do you guys just see where the day takes you? Now this is, well, you can talk about both. What was it like during lockdown, but what's it like when it's not lockdown? Are you quite strict, or?
I wouldn't say we were massively strict. I mean, they do have a routine. I mean, without a routine, I think any children are the same.
Yeah, it'd go haywire, wouldn't it?
It doesn't work, yeah.
No.
I mean, when we're not in lockdown, it's obviously Mornings out, breakfast, teeth, get dressed for school, and then we do the school run. That's when me and the youngest just take it as we come.
Yeah.
And we might go off and take the dog for a walk or go down the beach or things like that. But then obviously throughout lockdown, we found it easier to split the kids up, and rather than doing a full day of schoolwork, that was just too much, especially at the home environment where it's more for relaxation and obviously play. They don't engage like they did at school. So we'd do a couple of hours with one in the morning, and then we'd do an hour with the 5-year-old, and then I think after lunch we'd do a couple of hours with the other one, and then that was the schooling for the day. We could cram a fair day in. They were more productive in that 2 hours than they were doing it for a full day.
That's what we're saying, isn't it? Because it's all well and good saying, oh, look, we can live like this, we can live online, we can do this and the other. Yeah, we've had to because it's lockdown. We've had no choice.
I mean, screen time through lockdown compared to not lockdown, it's completely different.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like to balance the toddler with the home schooling, Dougie and everything was an absolute godsend.
Yeah. Bing and Hey Dougie have been like my TV babysitter.
Don't swear. Why are you swearing?
I hate Bing. Do you know what? I think if I just wish sometimes every time I go on the telly, it's there and she sees it and she screams Bing, and I go, there's like 100 other things you can watch. Do you not want to watch anything else? No, Bing, Bing, Bing. But Pip and Posy now, you've got girls, so you'll know that it's a new thing called Pip and Posy, and she loves it. Have a look, it's lovely. It's nicer than Bing, put it that way.
Yeah.
I'm saying about home and things, it's hard because like you said, home is home, and kids used to go to school and walk through the door and that's it, it's done then, isn't it? And home is this, and that's where your parents are, that's where your dinner is and your playtime. I'm really hoping we don't have to go back to it, because it's not, I hope not. Kids, are they?
No, I mean, it's going the right way with the vaccines and everything, so hopefully it won't come to that again, but you never know.
They adapt anyway, don't they? Even if they do.
Oh, they do.
It's us that struggle, I think, more than the kids, really.
I mean, we noticed with my eldest stepdaughter, Mouse, she'd go quite withdrawn, and you could tell it was more the social aspect that she was missing. Yeah. But that was another good thing of obviously getting to know mums at the playground, obviously connected through Facebook. We'd do every other day we'd be on the kids would obviously have their phones and whatever, our parents' phone, and they'd do a big massive group video chat on Facebook, on Messenger. So they got to see their friends and have a chat, and obviously there's little games on there that they can play and stuff. So
can you imagine being a parent 15 years ago without all this technology? No. And this happened. Oh.
And only 4 channels.
Oh, and you'd have to go up and push buttons. That's going to be a bit further back again, but yeah, can you imagine? My Lord, no, just couldn't imagine it. So we are lucky, really, if they've got all this technology, and it's their way of life for us. I just think, they're on the screen all the time, but it's just the way of life for them, isn't it?
It is now, yeah. I mean, even schools, it's on screens, like they have tablets there at school now, don't they? And
my primary school had one computer for a classroom. Yeah. We used to have to share it. That was it.
Used to be one of them on a trolley, like the big TV. You used to think it was party time.
Oh, I do. I think you're near my age by the sound.
I think so. But yeah, I mean, they have with maths, they have a couple of website or apps that they use. There's like one called Sumdog and TT Rockstars. Okay. And they've been quite handy because they can get them on their own tablets or on the laptops that we have at home. Yeah. But they do them a lot at school, and obviously the different challenges, that's part of their lesson. So obviously they've been brought up with technology. It's their normal, whereas to us it's sort of like we've adapted to it.
Have they had to teach you how to use the apps?
Some parents have. Yeah? Yeah, some parents have.
I bet, because since if you're not computer literate, my partner isn't. He's a builder and he hates technology and things. He'd really struggle. He would.
I mean, this last lockdown, obviously the school the girls' school anyway, they were a bit more clued up with what they were going to do and structure and everything. And they even had grants for getting extra tech, sort of like laptops and things like little Chromebooks. And obviously, if you didn't have access to a laptop at home, you could contact the school and you can get one through the school, so they could do the schoolwork online and do the.
That's brilliant, isn't it?
Online Zoom chats with the class and things like that.
Yeah, there's so many kids that wouldn't have had that at home.
No.
You know, a lot. I mean, a hell of a lot. I think more
I mean,
than.
one thing that was an absolute godsend for us was the school. I think it was a government thing nationwide for families under a certain income that they got school meal vouchers rather than getting
Yeah, I've
school.
heard about that.
School.
Yeah.
Yeah, they started off with, I think the first few weeks of this last lockdown, we'd go to school and we'd pick up obviously the school meals, but then
Yeah.
they started with Aldi vouchers or Tesco vouchers, things like that, to go towards your shopping bills, which was a massive help.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And I think for a lot of people that would have been a massive help as well.
That would have been lunches and dinners, because if you're savvy with your Aldi vouchers, you can. It's not just going to be. So I don't know how much they gave you, but you know, say if they gave you £5 for a lunch for an Aldi voucher, I could get a lot in Aldi. If you go at a certain time and get reduced meats and you get reduced this, that, you can get a lot of meals out of that.
I mean, it shocks a lot of people with how savvy I am with our shopping budget. I mean, I used to be a butcher. I was a butcher for about 14 years. So I always go to my butchers for my mate, so we get that monthly. But say like for the 7 of us all together, when my eldest is here, Aldi shop's usually about £40 a week.
Yeah.
Something like that. I mean, it's brilliant price-wise. But it's just obviously, like you say, if you're savvy enough.
Yeah, I'm very frugal. Phil laughs at me because when he met me, he was like, "Are you that poor?" And I'm like, "No, I was just brought up poor, so I just can't get out of the habit of not looking for the bargains." That's all it is, really. It's just, you know, you got to do what you got to do, haven't you? So
like my other half, she loves car boots, and she walks away from me at car boot sales.
I love.
Probably I'm embarrassing.
Does she go to them or does she do them?
She goes to. Well, she does both.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had big clear outs of the kids' clothes on car boots and things like that, but she loves just going and having a walk around. But
I love them. Me and my mum, I've been doing them for donkey's years, and she'd say, "Oh, I need to get rid of stuff in the attic. Should we do a car boot?" Yeah, I'd love it.
She does it with her mum as well.
It's like the bartering, people like trying to haggle you down, and you're like, "No way!" You know, I just absolutely love it.
See, that's why she leaves me alone, because I'm embarrassing, because I haggle. Kids want a toy for £1, and it's like, I'll do it 50p or 2 for £1. But that's from my dad, so
yeah, exactly. If you don't ask, you don't get, do you? You know.
Exactly.
Oh God! Right. The next question. So we've kind of briefly talked about. Obviously, the reason I kind of found you on Twitter is because I've got a blog, and I'm very new. You're not. And you started a blog called, and this is why I think it caught my eye because I like the title of it, Yorkie, Not Just for Dads. So this is where you give advice, tips and knowledge. What made you start that, which you kind of told us about really, and tell us a little bit more about it and your journey with that blog?
Well, the name came about, I was chatting to a few dads in a dad's Facebook group that I was on, and I mentioned that I'm looking to start something like that, but I didn't know a name. And he said, well, you're from Yorkshire.
Yeah.
And don't you remember the Yorkie bar?
Yeah.
Pump for girls. But it's like, just call it Yorkie, not just for dads, because it's a parenting thing that's not just for dads. So, I mean, that's where that came around. But yeah, I just started documenting how it was at home with the kids and sort of like the stay-at-home dad. But then obviously we started getting contacted by brands and marketing companies. We were getting sent products to review. Started getting press releases about important subjects. I shared a little bit about mental health, trying to break the stigma of men's mental health. It's just grown from there, especially with parenting advice and parenting tips. It just offers a bit of everything.
Yeah. How long have you had it for? How many years have you had it? Sorry, how many years have you had it?
This will be my 2nd full year.
Wow. And you've had brands approaching you and everything since then?
Yeah, I mean, last year the opportunities that we got was incredible. I mean, the products that we had to review. One that we have enjoyed doing is we all love reading anyway. Sort of like the kids like story time. We've had a fair few children's books to review. And obviously I've got to know an author based in Liverpool. And some of the things that she's doing, it's fantastic. But her books are really good. They're really different, and the kids have really taken to them. They're called My Mummy is a Monster and There's My Daddy is a Monster. They're a flip book.
I've seen them. Yeah.
Yeah, they're a flip perspective book. So it's like half of the book is my mum is a monster, so it's from the children's perspective.
Yeah.
Then you flip it over, and the other half is sort of my children are monsters. So it's like from the parents' perspective.
Yeah.
Same storyline, same story, but obviously different perspectives. It's really clever. But yeah, I mean, we did a press trip to Gulliver's Valley, which is one of the Gulliver's theme parks.
Yeah.
Obviously, just to obviously help them promote obviously what they were doing, and obviously things that were in place with the coronavirus, obviously just to help businesses and brands at that sort of time when everybody's finding it difficult. But that was really good.
Wow. So did you know anything about blogging when you first started?
I had no clue.
You're giving me a bit of hope, because I started on Wix January last year. And then I bought a self-hosted website in November, but I didn't go live until January. So I'm really still pretty new, still learning as I go along, really. But like you, I've got a small budget. I'm doing it on my own time and stuff. But already I can see, you're making connections, you're doing this, that, and the other. I never knew blogging was so popular and so big.
Yeah.
And someone said, if you Google anything and you go, I don't know, what are the 10 best places to see in Sydney? If you Google, it might not be a travel website companies, but you might be reading someone's blog. You just don't realize it. You're reading articles and blogs all the time, but you just don't know it's a blog.
Yeah, I mean, even before blogging, you used to go on Pinterest and put in a recipe, looking for a recipe. Obviously, the website it took you to, that was a blog.
Yeah.
But yeah, I knew diddly squat. But it's just all been self-taught.
Yeah, that's what mine is. I quite like that though as well. It's, whatever I achieve, I've done that myself.
Yeah. I mean, it was a big shock last month because obviously, like my first month blogging, I think it was about 15 views. Or 20 views, something like that. And that was all obviously family and friends. But last month, it was over 2,500.
Wow, that's brilliant.
Yeah. So it's a big surprise, and just shows how far it's come along in there.
Yeah, definitely.
Over a year.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I was going to ask you something about blogging again, then, but it's not. It's what I was going to say. I can talk about blogging. These people aren't really wanting to listen to us wondering about blogging. And if you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice before having a family, what would it be?
Don't be like my dad.
Oh.
No.
He's still around. Will he hear that?
Yeah, it probably will do. But you parent how you were brought up, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
You sort of reflect your parents in a way. My dad was really strict, old school, but I mean, the lessons he taught me and my brother, there's no words that could do to thank him for it.
Yeah.
It's just I've got his strict no. If I say no, it's no.
Yeah.
Whereas my partner's more compromise. Like tell them not to do it, but they can do this instead, sort of thing. So obviously sometimes when I just say outright no, it causes a bit of an uproar, and then obviously she steps in and tries to compromise, and then we try and do it together. And it's just certain aspects that I'd change a little bit.
I think it's hard, like you said, you do end up parenting the way your parents brought you up, because do you know what? No different.
Yeah.
Like my mum always said, oh, is that family weird? Isn't that family weird? Isn't this? Oh, they're strange then. And I said, Mum, don't you ever think that they look at us and think that? No, not at all. No. And I'm like, but we might be strange to outsiders. And she never understood it. But, my friends said, God, your mum's really strict. Why won't she let you stay out later? She just won't. And she was like, no is no, don't be late. And even now I'm 39 and still laughs, because if she's in a mood with us, or if I've done something wrong, you can see all four of us, the four kids, will panic. She ruled us with an iron rod. So, but then I hear myself and I think I can hear her coming out of my mouth sometimes. And then I think, well, I'm not that bothered, because do you know what? All of us have got good jobs. All of us have done all right for ourselves. We've never been arrested. We've never got in trouble. We've always said our please, thank yous. And that's the one thing I got told today. Someone said, your daughter, she's only 2, but I've drummed it into her to say please, thank you, and sorry, like those 3 words. And she says, I've never known such a well-mannered toddler. I says, I don't mind if she has tantrums and she's sassy and things like that, but I need her to know when she's done wrong, she apologises, and to say please and thank you. I don't care about the rest of it, as long as she's polite. Yeah, that was my mum and dad's influence. You
Gives
can't.
you the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde sort of effect, though, doesn't it? It's like you getting told that from someone about your kids, and then it's like, that one.
Yeah, this one, are you sure? Yeah, she's not like that for me.
Yeah, you sure it was that one? But yeah.
Well, I don't think they've done too badly. You know, your dad's what you were, and like you say, I think every generation it waters down a bit. So as much as you say, don't be like your dad, you probably are a little bit, but you won't be wholly like
my
him,
dad.
because only he could be like him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know,
I'm a lot. I surprise myself a lot. It's like one of them. It's like, oh my god, I sound just like my dad.
yeah.
Nearly every day.
Yeah, I say, but I think I've just written another blog, and it says at the end. So yeah, yet again, my mum was right all along, because it's everything she says. It's like it's come out true now. I'm a mum, and you know,
it's like parenting sayings. It's like your mum used to tell you stuff. Like your dad used to say something to you, like, "Oh, watch what you're doing with that. You'll have someone's eye up with that."
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'll never say that when I'm older. when I'm a parent, and it's like, "Hey, put that down. You'll have someone's eye up with it." It's like, shit.
Do you know what I hear myself saying? Going around turning the lights off, going, "It's not bloody Blackpool here, you know. Turn off the lights."
Not Blackpool illuminations in it. I used to get that one too.
That all the time.
Yeah. Or just you wait till your dad gets home.
Oh well, yeah. Well, I will use that one. I know I will. I know I shouldn't.
Now, but it's on the other foot. It's just you wait till your mum gets home.
Do you know what? Actually, thinking about it, I don't know. It depends, because they're still really young. I don't know how strict we're going to be once they're getting older, but I think it'll be. I think if I lose it a bit, Phil will be the one that's like, calm down. I'll go and be the calm parent. But then if he loses it, I'm the one. I think we kind of, like I said, counteract. I think that's important, isn't it? When you're parents. You kind of go, they're having a bad day, they're tired, I'll take over this one.
Each other's yin and yang.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So lastly, what do you do during the week to ensure you have some time for you, and what or where do you go to escape the chaos? So you were saying that you were made redundant, and obviously the depression. So how is that now? Do you find that you're making a point of giving yourself some time to yourself?
I do, yeah. I mean, self-care, a lot of people think it's just for women, obviously, like going to get the hair done or going to get the nails done, but I mean, even dads men can do it too. Like maybe an hour out a night, just play the Xbox, or even go for a bath with a whiskey, a bit of music on in the background. It's just to obviously wind down and relax. I mean, Friday nights are my night. My partner's always pushed me to do it. Sometimes I'd feel like, no, I don't want to. I'll do the bedtimes and things like that, but she'll take over and do that on Friday, so I can do the Avengers live chat. That's when they are on a Friday night. So that's sort of my time. Just get a whiskey and go on with Nigel and do the Avengers and things like that.
So Eddie's just name dropped. So
sorry.
Yeah, no, you're not, because I'm really impressed. So it was over the weekend, so it must have been Good Friday, and Insta, I don't really go on Insta at night because I'm with Phil and that's our time. And but I don't know, I think he was having a drink. I think he was watching something, and I thought, I'll have a sneaky watch, because I could see that you were live, and then this Dad Benja was on, and I didn't know who that was, so I was just being a bit nosy. And I was like, who's that? I know him. And I showed it to Phil. He went, it's Nigel. So Nigel, CBeebies Nigel, who does the Baby Club, Nigel. So do you do that every week with him? Like do you want to explain what he does then, what he's done?
The Dad Vengers is obviously an initiative that Nigel set up. And it was just a place of support for parents. They've covered a wide array of subjects and topics. Like they have 2 main parenting topics every week, and a light-hearted topic that they'll get, obviously, parents up on the Instagram live, and they'll have a chat with them about it and things like that. But just the experiences of other parents, it makes you feel like you're not the only one that's obviously struggled with this or that. And hearing where other people have handled it, it's obviously giving you I've not tried that, I'll give that a go. And obviously it's like a little community, a parenting community, where everybody can support each other, and it's been really good. I think the first live was April last year, and I think I've been there since day one.
Wow.
It was one thing. Obviously, I was trying to connect with my dads through Instagram, and that's how I found the Dad Vengers. And then obviously it's just come from there. I've met so many people through it, and all a massive support.
Yeah. It's, I mean, I've only, like I said, it's only been a week since I found out about it, so I'll definitely be following it more. I was just more shocked, and I was like, wow, that's really good. Like someone like him, because he's got 2 girls, if I remember rightly.
Nigel's got a son and a daughter.
Son and daughter. He did
Yeah.
I just remember during lockdown he was doing lots
Yeah.
of TikToks and things with them. So
the dancing reels, yeah.
Yeah, that's it, dancing reels. So you're doing that now with him. So you do what? Lives every week? Do you want to
Not every week.
No.
No, I mean, like I say, it's just a community. Like sometimes I'll have 30, 40 people watching these Instagram lives.
Yeah.
And it'll just be a case of like, who wants to come on and have a chat about the subjects that are tonight, and it's like stick a thumbs up in the bottom, and it's like,
oh, that's good. So if
Should
anyone
come
wants
on
to do
Friday
that,
night and come and have a chat with Nigel.
Oh God, I don't know. I feel all a bit flushed. So
I'll send him a text and I'll tell him you'll be there on Friday.
Oh God, don't. I probably will. I will. I'd love to do it. I think for me, I just don't know. It depends what they're talking about. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I don't have the place to. I'm not a number one mum. I'm not a fantastic mum. I'm just an honest mum, and that's what I like to bring forward. But so if people want to follow this and get involved with that, they need to follow your Instagram, which is Yorkie, not just for dads, at Dad Vengers.
Yeah.
And while I'm here, follow the Swan Effect as well if you're on Instagram.
Yeah, give her a follow. She's great.
Cheeky plugs.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's it. Is there anything else you wanted to say about being a stay-at-home dad? Is there anything, if somebody was thinking, I want to do it, but I'm going to get absolutely ripped by my mates if I do it, but financially it's going to be better for us or whatever, or mentally it's going to be better for me, what would you say to that person if they're listening now? Because I know guys do listen.
There's 2 words to that, and it's just, and just ignore all them and just do it if it's something you want to do and it's going to make you happy, do it for you. But the main massive thing with it is communication with your partner. Obviously, what would they expect from you being at home? It's like, even now, I mean, I always like to keep myself busy. I see it as I'm the one at home. I'm the one that should be doing all the housework.
Yeah.
But it's like she doesn't expect that. Obviously, she expects to do odd little bits at home and things like that. But yeah, just communicate with your partner. Just make sure that you're both on the same wavelength and both know what's expected of each other. That's
it, because it is. It's not the norm, is it, to be a stay-at-home dad? It's just not the norm, and I'm not saying it in a bad way. It just isn't. So it's been really good listening to your perspective of it. Is it something you will do until they're a certain age, or are you going to look to go back to college, do you think, or are you going to go back to what's your plan, do you think? Do you know what, you're going to smash it on your blogs and you're just going to become really famous on your blogs?
That'd be all right. I mean,
that'd be great,
if it was something that I could build to do from home for myself, then obviously that'd be a bonus. But I mean, my youngest only 2. She's not going to be starting school for another couple of years, so I've looked at sort of doing some of these home university courses and things like that. But the writing side of things that I've come across with, obviously with the blogging and everything, it's something that I've really been enjoying. So I've been looking at doing a bit of freelance work, and I've just started a YouTube channel.
I did, but I just put these on there now.
Just doing something for me because I like my cars. So I started, obviously built a relationship with a couple of local car dealers. Obviously taking cars out and reviewing them and filming them and things like that. Like my other half got me a GoPro for my birthday, so it's like filming with that. And
nice.
I enjoy, and it's one of them that I can. It's part of my self-care and go off and a few hours filming and driving around in a car.
Sounds ace. Yeah. It's not even your car. It's great. You can just put the foot down.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that's it, because it's self-care. It's a hobby, but again, it's like a career path as well, and you just don't know where these things are going to take you. So I'm the same as you. Try everything and see where it takes you, isn't it? Again, if you want to be a stay-at-home dad, try it. Just say to your work, well, do you know what? Take 2 weeks off work and you'll leave, and say to your partner, you go and do something for 2 weeks and see how you cope at home with the kids. And if it's something you can do full time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's hard. It is hard work. You can admit that, can't you, Eddie? It's really hard.
While I was working full time, it was always like you come home and you think to yourself, you come home to obviously an untidy house and things like that. But like you'd be thinking, what have you done all day? But then it's I've actually experienced that, and it's like, yeah, no.
You got the time.
I know exactly why, but it's the hardest job I've ever done.
Yeah.
But it's definitely the most rewarding.
Yeah.
That's the big positive out of it.
The pay's rubbish. The hours are long, but it'll be the most rewarding job you'll ever have.
I'm still grafting now. I've got washing up to do.
Oh, well, I'll leave you to it. Thank you ever so much. It's been great. And yeah, put a good word in for Nigel for me, Eddie.
I will do. I'll send him a text. Thank you very much for having me on.
Take care.
And you.
See you later. Bye. Bye.